Can the Florida Gators upset the Texas Longhorns this weekend? It has not been a good start for Florida and Billy Napier, and there are opportunities for them to potentially turn it around. This game is one of those opportunities, and we're going to talk about how that could potentially happen, as well as what could potentially go wrong for this team. Now, if you've been watching Florida this year, you obviously know that things are not going well. Billy Napier is on the hot seat, and the talent that you thought was going to be fun has not lived up to expectations. We'll talk more about specific players here in just a second, but this is a team that is not playing to the level that they're capable of. And mostly it's going to have to do with an offense that is not doing its part. This is an offense that's not moving the ball efficiently. It's an offense that's turning the ball over, and their star quarterback has not lived up to the hype. He has not met expectations. And now they're going to play a Texas team that is kind of going through something similar. In a way, these two teams kind of have similarities with each other because their offenses are not meeting expectations. Their defenses are playing as hard as they can, and they are playing at times really well. And the offenses are just letting them down. Now, Florida has struggled a lot more than Texas. So that's kind of where the similarities end, because this is a Florida team that lost to USF in their second game. That is never supposed to happen. Florida should never be in a game with USF. That should never ever happen. And part of it is it seems like there's some more parity this year in college football, which is really fun. But also the Florida Gators are just struggling. Now, you can make an argument that injuries have played a role with certain players, but this is still a team that should be better than what they're performing at. And even if those players were healthy, I think that this team would still be struggling and failing to meet those expectations. And a 3-game losing streak is not going to be easy to break. You have Texas A&M. Mississippi State is better. You have Georgia. You have 4 games after this that are going to be just as challenging as the last couple of games you played. And even the final stretch, Kentucky is not as good as they maybe expected to be, but a road trip to Kentucky could still be challenging. You then end the year with Ole Miss, who's a much better team than people realize, on the road, and then hosting Tennessee and Florida State, who also fit in that category of better than we expect. So there's really one game where Florida might feel good. The rest of them, you kind of have some questions about right now. So that's a big problem. And this is a team that isn't exactly putting up points, and they're struggling because of it. The second half, they've scored a total of 31 points. That's not going to get the job done. Yes, you're playing tough competition, but you're barely outscoring teams in the first and second quarter, and then you are really struggling in the second half. That's not going to be a way to win games. It's not going to be a way to keep your coach around. So how do they turn that around? It's really going to start with the offense, and what they can do is really going to dictate how successful this team can be. Now, when you compare these two teams, Texas sits at 3-1, Florida's at 1-3. And if you're looking at the Texas Longhorns, Arch Manning and DJ Lagway have some similarities in their struggles. Now, Arch Manning might have had a light bulb moment against Sam Houston. He might have hit his stride, but it's one game, and it's also against one of the worst teams in college football. So we don't really know. So when you look at this line right now, Texas is favored by a touchdown. They're favored by 6.5, 7 points, depending on the book you look at. And there's a reason for that. It's because if this offense was playing at the level that it should, Texas would be favored by a lot more. But because they're not, and because of how Florida's defense has been playing, that gives the Gators a chance to hang in this game. That gives them the potential to give Texas a run for their money. Now, it's going to come down to what the offense can do, and how this defense plays against Texas offense is kind of going to play a role as well, obviously, but it has more to do with what Florida's offense can potentially do against Texas defense. And Texas defense might be the best in college football. You can make a strong argument that they are the best defense in the sport. And DJ Lagway has not thrived against good competition. We'll talk about him more in just a little bit. Jaden Baugh has not been as effective either because the offense does not possess a passing attack to help him out. If they had some balance, he'd be having a much better year. He still runs hard. He still makes big plays. It's just that he's not going to get that consistently because nobody's really respecting what Florida is trying to do offensively. Defensively, though, is a very different case. And if they can get their quarterback to play on a different level, then maybe you have a chance. Now, if Florida is going to win this game, the quarterback play has to be better. Now, if it's DJ Lagway, if they truly at some point go another direction, then maybe that's going to help. But Lagway is obviously very aware that this year has not gone how they expected. You started off with a pretty good win, obviously, against LIU, where, he throws for 120 yards, 3 touchdowns, but not anything you're going to take a lot away from. Then you go to USF, not the best game. You lose that game. Then you go to LSU, and it is like everything just unraveled. The process that he went through literally just went out the window, and 5 interceptions later, it's seeming like this is a team headed for a disaster and a quarterback that is headed in the wrong direction. Now, the big question for him is going to be the injuries. I think people are talking about that time and time again because it seems like every other week he's in a walking boot or some sort of injury. And I don't know how much that's actually playing a role. I'm not in the program. I don't know. But I do know, not just even this year, the future of Florida football depends on DJ Lagway's development. And if he's not going to be able to do that, because the last 2 weeks have been horrendous. The last 2 weeks have not provided him with opportunities. Now, the guys up front on the offensive line have to step up as well, but DJ Lagway has to at least give them a chance. He has to put them in position to do that. Now, if you look at what he can do, the talent level is there. The kid still has talent. It just comes down to, again, how healthy is he, and can his guys give him a chance? Because this is a team, like I said, with so much talent. There is so much to be utilized, and that is still there. It's not like it just disappeared. Things are just not going well. But one way that you can help turn around your season is win a game like this, where you're facing a team that has some similar issues to you. You find a way to pull off an upset like this, maybe you're able to get things back on track. It all starts with the quarterback position, but if your quarterback can live up to the hype and he can show this is why people were so high on me, then maybe that's going to help. Now, that's also going to help. We talked about Jane Ba, and right now he is kind of struggling. The last 2 games, he's rushed for 46 yards and in each of those, and hasn't really been a factor, hasn't really been as effective and as explosive as we thought he might be. This is, again, another guy that's extremely talented, extremely explosive, and so far he's just not meeting expectations. He is not living up to what we thought he could be, and I wouldn't say, it's more on DJ Lagway and the lack of help than it is on Jaden Bob, but I'm sure there are things that he could potentially fix as well. The offense overall, though, is just going to have to figure out, how do we get better? Now, if the offense plays better or can at least put themselves in a good position, that's going to show this defense that things can be better. We can improve. And that's going to help a defense that is playing really hard right now. They are playing, I wouldn't say really well, but they are keeping this team in games. The Miami game was 26-7. However, there were plenty of opportunities for that team to fold, that defense to give up, and they didn't. They kept competing, they kept working, and they kept creating plays that could give their team the ball back. And there's only a matter of time before that kind of goes away, right? You're a team that you need 2 sides of the ball to work. And if one side of the ball is doing a lot, sometimes, especially early in the season, you think, okay, well, the defense is going to be up to speed earlier than the offense. We just need a little bit of time. And we talk about all the time how sometimes the defense has to carry most of the responsibility for the wins right off the bat. But right now, it feels like the offense just isn't getting it. It's not figuring things out. And while this defense has been playing well, there's going to be a breaking point. You cannot rely on your defense to keep you in games for so long before they finally cave. And every team has this at some point. At some point, the group that is carrying the team the most has a breaking point that if the other group doesn't figure it out, that it just gets past that point and it all goes downhill. The defense doesn't look as good. The offense continues to struggle. If the offense can find a way to play well in this game, and it's going to be hard against that Texas defense. But this Florida defense can also do good things against Texas. Arch Manning has shown that he is not what we expected him to be. He is very capable of struggling, and he is very capable of also thriving. This is a Florida defense that made Carson Beck look uncomfortable. It made Garrett Nussmeier look uncomfortable. It made Byron Brown look uncomfortable. So if you think that if they can do that, they can do that against Arch Manning as well. They can absolutely make his life miserable. Turnovers are going to be a big way. And so far this year, they've created 4 turnovers. You'd like to see them be a little bit more disruptive, but sometimes that's in the form of quarterback pressures and getting to Arch Manning and showing him that you were close and you're going to get chances to get into his head. And we've seen what good defenses can do. You look at the Ohio State game and what they were able to do. They kept Arch Manning out of the game because they kept switching things up. So if Florida is wanting to get in this game and stay in this game, the defense will get things started, and then it just comes down to the offense. Now, do I think that is likely that Florida beats Texas? Probably not. Texas is the better team, and I don't know how this Florida team moves the ball against that Texas defense, plain and simple. But I do know there are ways they can do that. I do know that this is a team, and the people that are around Billy Napier know that he has a process and they trust his process. And unfortunately, you're going to have to show it at some point, right? If you want to stick around in Gainesville, you have to find a way to win. You almost kind of can reset the hot seat clock, if you will, or at least slow it down with a win this weekend. Again, is that likely? Probably not. But you're going to have to find a way to beat some of these good teams. And this weekend is about as good of opportunity as it can get. It just comes down to, can your star quarterback play like the star that you expect him to be? And can the defense hang on just long enough to let the offense wake up?